Hello there and welcome
to the new channel.
Here to help you see
the new you.
My name is Carmine Ortega.
Dennis Calamba.
This is Nato Agbayani.
My name is Juan Lu.
I'm Chino.
I'm Trisha.
This is Apple Manansala.
This is Attorney Carlo Ibanez.
This is Attorney Sheila Santiago.
This is Angie.
This is Argamid.
My name is Dante Salama.
This is Jesse Francis Rebostillo.
I'm Dania Cunha.
Mon Mendoza.
I am Mopet Erhino.
I'm Leo Bryan. Mike.
Nice one, dear.
Sir Al Ian Barcelona.
Marvin Salazar. This is Sunny Haldons.
Heidi Lumainos.
This is Ivan Jude.
Patrick Geronimo.
Alan Perez.
My name is Erwin Ursua.
Mine is Bob.
My name is Lloyd Luna and this is
Future.
The Talk.
Family Business.
The Puppet Stories.
After Shift.
PNC Town Hall.
YOLO.
Marketplace.
The Home Buyer.
HR Hotline.
Danny Art Show.
Healthline.
Foreign Affairs.
COVID Stories.
Awesome Day Show.
Thank you.
Money and more.
Cybernext.
Women at Work.
Win Within.
Port Project.
The Big Picture.
Sometimes life lets you down and you feel that you are done. You just want a morning run because the fun is all gone. But sometimes life makes you proud when you look far and wide, when you leave the pain behind and see the brighter side. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC ignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you. Sometimes life makes you blind and you choose something bad. You just wanna cry and hide and save your face from the crowd. But sometimes life makes you see the beauty in you and me. When you look up above, there is God and there is love. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC ignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new. We're here to help you see the newness of life. We're here to help you feel your hope is so real. You got the power to see. We'll help you see the new you. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you.
The new channel. The new channel. The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following show are those of the hosts, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello there and welcome to TNC. We are here to help you see the new you. My name is Lloyd Luna and this is The Big Picture. Hello there, Metro Manila, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, and Spain. How have you been, ladies and gentlemen? This is the big picture for tonight. I'm really happy to be here again, once more to inspire you by this episode. And if you're watching us live right now, please do share our live stream link. You can also organize your own watch party so that your friends, families, and associates can watch the same inspirational show that we give to you night after night. You can also watch us on youtube.com/TNC now and drop some comments in there. And when you do that, you can have an opportunity to get a gift courtesy of Unison and TNC. The item to get, watch. That is washable face mask worth 800 pesos courtesy of Unisol and TNC. So go there. Go to youtube.com/TNC now. Drop some comments in there. And then get an opportunity to take away that gift. And if you are living within Metro Manila, definitely delivery is on us. Unfortunately, if you are living in Spain, now we don't know yet how you can get the face mask, but then again, this has been always an inspirational show for you, and this night is extra special because not only we are having a friend from the other end of the world, but we're going to talk about learnability, and probably learnability that can be applied in our now normal. I mean, the normal that we have right now in this particular age and time. So I'm not going to make this very, very long. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome from Spain, President of the Professional Speakers Association of Spain, Ian Gibbs. Ian, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.
Good evening, Lloyd. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, great. Last time we've seen each other virtually was in 2019, and seems like 2020 was erased somehow. I don't know.
That's right, and better to forget about it completely, Lloyd.
Okay, so tell us quickly how you have been. I mean, we don't have any idea on how bad, worse, or worse the pandemic has affected you personally, but how have you been?
It's been as I'm here to talk about learnability, it's been a learning curve for us. Part of what I do is we do theatre and education for schools in Spain, and one of the things that we had to do was to adapt our company to the new measures here, because obviously things were very, very different, especially considering that our shows for students was very, very participative. And so we had to completely change that, rewrite scripts, redesign shows. And in a similar way to TNC, that I understand that TNC is actually a pandemic baby that you were actually born during the pandemic here. So we also started to do streaming shows and learned how to do that, and we had to learn how to do a lot of things very quickly. So yeah, it's been tough, but we're getting through. We're getting through.
Yeah, it's something that we have never expected. When you and I were talking about the Generational Leadership Summit back in 2019, everything was just about right. I mean, we are riding high on our previous successes, and we thought that our model is just as airtight as it was supposed to be. But then again, 2020 came, and it was a different story. How quickly did you adapt, and what are the first things that came into your mind when lockdown after lockdown was introduced?
Right. The main problem that we had, and I think that this actually happened to most people, is that when this started, people were saying that it was going to be a very short period of time, that it was the 13th of March in Spain when lockdown was declared, and we were told that things had to stop, and schools had to close, and our business had to stop working, and we were told that it was going to be until Easter, right? So it was, we were going to have to stop shows for 2 weeks or
Yeah,
2
no
or 3
problem,
weeks.
right? No
Yeah.
problem. 2 weeks,
And we
no
thought,
problem.
oh, that's really bad. 2 weeks without work. Well, okay, we'll do it. And so really, what we did was we just essentially we held our breath. We basically did nothing because everybody was saying that after Easter, at the beginning of April, schools would be going back, things would be back to normal. The whole business of the pandemia would be over, and we believed them, really. And so what happened is that obviously once we got past Easter, it was extended, and then it got extended again, and it got extended again. And basically, I suppose what I'm saying here, Lloyd, is that if magically we could go back in time to the 13th of March, the way that we would have addressed the problem, addressed the situation in then, knowing everything that we know now, would have been completely different.
So exactly when did you get an idea that this is not going to end very, very soon? I mean, personally, in my case, it was specifically very specific. It was April 25 when I started to do the live stream, and it was May 15 when TNC was born.
Yeah.
So it took us some time. In your case, would you recall a particular date when you said, "Okay, let's do another script"?
Actually, it's an ongoing process, Lloyd. We're in that same situation now because one of the, I mean, I'm not quite sure how TNC operates, but I guess that your planning is over. When you talk about your planning, you talk about your planning in a period of weeks or a period of months, something like that. Whereas in theatre, it takes a year really to produce a show, to have the idea for the script, to prepare the script, to prepare the materials, the backdrops, the costumes, the whole thing. It takes the best part of a year, right? And so even now, right now, we're looking at the shows that we're going to be doing for next academic year. Okay. So this is for 21-22.
And this is set considering the technology in mind, right? I mean, or what you're looking at for 2022 is already something that everything is back to normal because of the vaccination that would happen.
Well, this is what I was getting to. That really, what we have to do now, what I have to do as a business director, is to guess what life is going to be like in February 2022. And so there's the challenge. There's the learning curve. We have to develop something which can be flexible enough to adapt to whatever environment we're going to find. I mean, some people, I don't know what news you get there in the Philippines, but over here, some people are saying that by the time we get to the summer, and hopefully most people are going to be vaccinated, that reality is going to return. Personally, I'm a bit skeptical of that, and I wouldn't be surprised if our situation continues for another 12 months. And so what this means is that we're a theatre company in the sense that we perform shows, but we're also a production company. So I was talking to Dirk, your producer, before we started, and you know I completely understand and empathize with all the tremendous work that happens behind the scenes in television, theatre, cinema, the whole lot. The people.
I don't know if someone told you, I have never seen any of our staff here.
Really?
So we started. And my co-founder, Apple,
Lloyd, it just happened by magic. Don't worry, it just happened by magic. There's nobody there.
The only person I've met is my co-founder, Apple Manansala, and we met for first time less than 30 seconds. Just say hello, and then that's about it. But in your particular case, this is definitely something that rocked your world, right? I mean, and if you're talking about preparation, having to take at least one year in order for you to produce a wonderful, remarkable show. So where are you right now, specifically in your business?
All right. So, for instance, right now we're just in the process of developing a newish show, which will be a version of Dracula for children, and we have a repertoire of different shows. We perform approximately. We've got about 12 shows that we perform every year to different age groups, and we in a normal year we would be expecting to do approximately 1,000 performances during the school year. And so where we are actually at the moment in our business is that by this time we are completely full and operative. In February, March, April, and May is when we do the most of our shows. And precisely last year, when we were closed down, schools were closed in Spain from the 13th of March all the way through to the summer. Really, I mean, there was like maybe 1 or 2 weeks in June where some children were allowed to go back, but essentially it hit us in the worst possible months. If there'd have been a lockdown, for instance, instead of 4 months, March, April, May, June, if it had been August, September, October, November, no problem for us, no problem. But anyway, you can't choose these things, can you?
Yeah. And I'm going to pause for a short commercial, Ian. When we come back, we're going to talk about your idea of learnability. Talk to us the concept about what you have in mind. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, don't go away, because the big picture on TNC will be right back. Please stay on our stream. back. You're still watching The Big Picture on TNC. Before I call in back to the studio, our guest again for tonight, a very special one at that, I would like to invite you to watch our other inspirational shows on TNC. U-Turn, The Talk, Awesome Day, The Home Buyer, The Puppet Stories, The Big Picture, The Millennial Voice, Foreign Affairs, HR Hotline, Well Home, Uplift, Market Leader, Mental Shift, Money and More, Cybernext, Healthline, Couple Goals After Shift, YOLO, Negosyo at Home, TechU, TNC Marketplace, Danny Art Show, Women at Work, COVID Stories, The Family Business, Usapang Beauty, The Fort Project, Win Within, TNC Town Hall, and TNC One Day. Also, watch out for our originally produced shows, the press con, which I think we're going to have tomorrow. So let's call in back to the studio our guests for tonight, the president of the Professional Speakers Association of Spain, Ian Gibbs.
Hello again.
All right. Again, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Learnability. You were talking a while ago that we are learning. This is something unprecedented. We have never learned maybe as fast as what we have right now compared with many decades ago. Talk to us about your insight on learnability.
Right. So when I talk about learnability, what I'm really referring to is the fact that to learn, to approach, to acquire, and to apply new skills, new ideas, is an ability in itself. There are different techniques and different methods to take on these concepts, to learn new things, and essentially, what I'm getting more and more frustrated about is that if you are a student, whether you're a child at school, a teenager at university, or an adult learner in your company or doing a training course, very few people have actually been taught how to learn. The business of having a growth mindset, about memory techniques, about comprehension techniques, how to understand difficult concepts, the different ways of doing that, and the attitude, the way that we approach applying new ideas, how to deal with failure. I mean, I was looking at some of the books up behind you there, Lloyd, and this business of how in modern society now, the way that organizations and people deal with failure when people are trying to do something new, if they don't get it right, if it's not successful, how we address that issue. And you put all of this together, and basically what you have is what I refer to as learnability. The ability to learn is quite simple.
It's simple, but I didn't realize that only up to now when you're saying that before you can learn, you have to learn.
Yeah, it's like driving a car. You got a car, Lloyd?
Yes, I think it's somewhere down there.
Somewhere there. Right. So I bet that before you started to drive that car, you had driving lessons.
Yes, I did.
Somebody took the effort to show you how to drive so that you can make optimum use of the gears, of the controls, so that you can get to where you want as effectively, as safely, and as confidently as possible. And yet, every year we put millions of students through the educational system. We don't teach them how to memorize things. We don't teach them about growth mindsets.
And this is happening not only here in the Philippines, but I think elsewhere in the world, where just learn it. I think that the attitude in our academic institutions is just learn it. This is your assignment. Do it. Is this what you're saying?
Yeah, it's like somebody gives you the keys to their car and says, just drive this car, just drive, without actually teaching you how to drive, the result is going to be a disaster. It's going to be a negative experience. You're going to get frustrated. You're not going to succeed. And you're going to probably have the attitude that you can't drive, that you're not a good driver, and that you don't enjoy driving.
Yeah, and only insurance companies will get rich if that
exactly, exactly. And so the point is that every, you know, students, adults, try to learn something, whether they try to learn a new language or they're trying to learn and how to use a new type of social media or some new skill or technique at work. And very few of them have got a clear idea of how the learning process takes place. And you have, it's almost a stereotypical situation that people try to learn a new language and they fail, and therefore they deduce that they're not very good at learning a language, that for some reason they don't have the brain or the capacity to learn a new language. And the answer is, well, that's not correct. Everybody has got whatever it takes to learn a new skill or a new language. The problem is that, quite simply, we haven't been taught how to learn.
How on earth have we missed that part? I mean, every educational institution in the world, and it's all but the same, that they are just there to teach you, but not teach you how to learn is done. I mean, how did we miss that?
Yeah. You see, now we get onto some very diplomatically thin ice, right? Because if you actually stop and look at the history, the school system, the objective of the school system is not for children to learn as much as they can, as best as they can. You only need to look at a little bit of cognitive science, cognitive psychology, to know that the way that most schools work, not all of them, but the way that most schools work, is to mass produce children, like produce them in batches. You force children or students to learn the same thing in the same way at the same time all over the place. That doesn't allow people, human beings, to learn in the most effective way possible. Science, cognitive psychology, knows exactly how we learn efficiently and how we can learn, what the best way of learning a language is. We know what the best way of learning maths is, and yet we don't do that in schools. It's ridiculous.
It's unbelievable, right? I mean, there's a subject they're supposed to be teaching that, and yet 95%, maybe 99% of the entire education system would give a subject that is not considered even that cognitive psychology that you're talking about. Interesting, right?
The problem here, of course, is that up until now, and this is an important word now, up until now, it's been extremely expensive and impractical to do anything different. There are some schools that I know of. Here I'm talking about schools like the Montessori schools, or you've got, I think it's called Summer Hill in the in the UK, in Essex. And these are schools that have realized that students can learn more effectively in a different way. Now, the reason why I say now is because up until now, it's not been feasible to let students choose and follow their own interests. if you suddenly decide that you're interested in, I don't know, learn about theatre, right? If you want to do that, up until now, it's been very difficult to find the resources to learn it by yourself. But more and more, there is almost an infinite amount of information online that you can find and use yourself if you knew how to teach yourself about theatre. You don't have, I mean, this makes a lot of people uncomfortable, right? But you don't have to buy a book. You don't have to subscribe to an online course. I mean, you can, and it helps. But what I'm saying is that you can research and develop and create your own learning situation if you know how to do it.
Okay, I'm going to cut you there. I'm going to pause for another short commercial because the question that we're going to answer after the break is that really how does it happen? How do I make it happen? So don't go away, ladies and gentlemen, because the big picture on TNC will be right back. Please stay on our stream. Welcome back. You're still watching The Big Picture on TNC. Back to the studio is Ian Gibbs, president of the Professional Speakers Association of Spain, because in the Philippines is the Philippine Association of Professional Speakers. So, okay, tell us how. I mean, how do I teach myself how to learn? What are the techniques and the strategies that you found really effective in self-learning?
Okay. To go into detail in this would take far longer than we have time for, but I'm going to package it up into basically four main parts. Okay, what I call the 4 A's of learning, which is attitude, attitude, acquisition, anchoring, and application. Right. The first thing when I talk about attitude is to be aware that there is a paradigm shift in the way that we can access and learn new ideas and new skills. I mean, just the other day, I got a book, fantastic book. I recommend for anybody that's interested in learning. It's called this is not my book, all right. It's called Changing Our Minds by a lady called Naomi Fisher. And I did a search for her on the internet, and I found a web page, and I got in touch with her, and I've been chatting with her on the internet. Now, this idea that you can almost immediately get in touch and start conversations with almost anybody in the world is a huge paradigm shift that students don't think that they're capable of doing. If you say, look, you're interested in theatre, you can research somebody online, get in touch with them, connect with them on Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever, and actually start asking them questions and asking them for help or recommendations. this isn't something that we get taught at schools. Everything that you get taught at school, it either comes from a book or a teacher. That was the old way. The new way is that the world is basically your playground for learnability. You can go out there and discover stuff, right? The second thing is your approach, the way that you acquire things. And as I mentioned before, it's not just learning is not just reading books. There's a when I give my workshops and presentations on learnability, I for instance, I have this book handy, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and it's probably one of the most famous books on management theory, or whatever you call it. And so I say to people, put your hand up if you've read this book. And so about 50% of the audience, they put their hand up. And I said, right, now, those people that have put their hands up, you've read the book, so I want you to turn to somebody who's not read the book and tell them, what are the 7 habits? And most cases, it's like, what? And the thing is, reading a book is not the same thing as learning. Reading a book is exposing yourself to information. But if you want to learn, then you have to be able to absorb that, memorize it, and apply it. And this is what I call
and therefore you're able to teach it because it's part of who you are. It's already in you. You're able to absorb this information, as you said.
Absolutely. And in fact, one of the key ingredients to learning something well is to actually share it with other people, whether it's teaching, whether it's giving a presentation, whether it's just explaining to your friend what it is that you've learned or what you've read. By interacting with other people using those ideas, that's a big part of the learning process. And something as simple as this I wasn't told this when I went to university. I studied astrophysics at university, believe it or not. And
I don't believe it.
No, it's true. I've got a certificate.
Of course, it's true. I'm just saying I don't believe it. But yes, it's true.
But so what? As a university student, what I did was that I went to class, I made notes, and then in the afternoons I went to my room and I would study by myself for 3 or 4 hours every day. And of course, by the time I came out of my room, I was exhausted, mentally exhausted. And the last thing that I wanted to do was to talk to somebody about astrophysics. I wanted to talk to somebody about parties, about girls, about going out for a drink, about anything that wasn't to do with what I'd been studying. And really, if I had spent 20% just 20% reading or studying and spent an hour having a conversation and discussing the ideas with a fellow student, I would have learned much more. I would have enjoyed myself more. The other student would have also benefited, and my grades would have been better. Because after you've been studying or concentrating for more than about 30 minutes, your mental capacity just drops down, and you almost turn into a vegetable. You're looking at the page, you're reading words, and they're going in through your eyes, and they're coming out the back of your head, and they don't really connect with anything in between. And it's this, we feel that we trick ourselves. We pretend that we're learning because we are studying in the traditional way. But really, if you had to explain to somebody else what it is that you'd learnt, you'd find it a challenge. And it's this difference. Studying is not the same as learning. And the places where we learn are not at the academic study table. We learn when we're sitting on the bus. We learn when at the dinner table, when we're talking to our family about what's happening. Those are situations where we actually learn what it is that we want. And so if you want to read, if you want to learn about theatre or whatever, then just watching a video or reading a book about it is only the first step of many steps to learning something properly. And then the final thing we've talked about attitude, and we've talked about acquisition, memory, and then there's application, which is about how we start to put these things into the real world. Memory is a lovely subject, Lloyd, because we quite simply we are not teaching people how to remember stuff. We don't teach mnemonic techniques. We don't teach people how to remember lists or formula or anything. And students spend hours trying to remember stuff that they could literally remember in 5 minutes if they were taught how to do so. I've got a friend here in Barcelona, Josep Maria Bea. He's got his own organization about his job is to help people improve their memory skills. And what he proves is that
I have a friend who is a grandmaster of memory champion, and it's his business as well. And it's interesting because it's interesting because how come that our teachers really did not teach us that those kinds of techniques where in fact it's necessary? So it occurred to me that memorization is something that is enjoyable. In fact, it's so painful because they did not teach me how to memorize things. So that's what you're saying, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that improving your memory is actually fun. The whole point of remembering things effectively is having a fun experience in doing it. It's creative.
It is fun. Very quickly, I'm going to share. It is fun. That friend, who is also a member of the Philippine Association of Professional Speakers, they ask us to they ask us to read the numbers that is written, 30 digits, and just in one reading, he even memorized it forward and backward. And we were like celebrating, how did you do that? Was it a magic or something? So it's fine in a sense that there is a sense of, I don't know, it's a sense of achievement, sense of celebration, sense of something that is not, we are not celebrating memorizing. I think people curse memorizing because it's just mind wrenching or something.
And it's you just to give one example, right? This week, my daughter had to learn the names of the rivers in Spain as part of her homework, and so I taught her the memory technique for remembering the names of these 10 rivers, and within 15 minutes, she'd learnt that. She can repeat all the names of the rivers, no problem. Yet, if you try to get a normal person to just memorize a list of 10 names, after an hour, they'll have forgotten half of them. And so, really, not by using memory techniques, you make it more fun, you save time, you impress people and get rounds of applause, and you feel good about it.
And you know what? And you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe the academic people will say it's actually cheating. So maybe that's.
But it's a good question. Why don't we teach these in schools? And the answer is that the only reason that we don't teach them in schools is because yesterday we didn't teach them in schools.
No.
It's just
How many yesteryears are we talking about here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you think we move forwards from here? I mean, do you talk to the university board and convince them really to, hey, why don't we teach people the way it should be? I mean, this should be taught. Or do we go to the students and ask them that there are 4 A's that you need to remember if you want to learn how to learn?
I think that every educational system, whether it's a university, secondary schools, adult schools, night schools, whatever, really they need to be giving a refresher course at the beginning of every season to remind people about how to learn stuff better. And you know how to make the most out of what we're doing, because it would improve the grades, the self-esteem, the confidence, and the time and resources that people are putting in to learning stuff. And what I'm discovering is that there are actually very few people who do what I do. There are very few people out there who actually coach or train people to learn stuff better. There are some people that focus on memory. There are some people that deal with mindset. But there's not many people that do the whole thing altogether. And as far as schools and universities goes, you have professors of astrophysics or professors who specialize in theater, whatever. But there are very few professors who actually specialize in learnability. And so one thing would be to put more value on the development of learning techniques and to make it part of the curriculum, so that really you don't have people that fail so much. People fail because they simply don't know how to drive the car. They've not been shown.
All right. And then insurance companies are getting richer. So I don't know if it is the academic institution that gets richer every time their students fail and enroll again. It's a different thing. But I'm hoping, Ian, that our university leaders would really find this as a worthy investment as far as education is concerned, because it's for everyone, and I can see clearly now your point on how this can really benefit each and everyone. I mean, the world in general. And I'm looking forward to one day seeing in the curriculum that your learnability subject is there, and they're actually teaching it along with many other professors of learnability. So, final question before I let you go: what's the big picture in all of this?
The big picture, really, you've just said it. That people, everybody throughout the whole world, realize that they can learn new languages, new skills, new abilities. They're capable. It's not that somebody is just good at maths or good at languages. Everybody has what it takes to learn. It's just a case of knowing how to. And if we could have that in the curriculum for schools, colleges, universities, or training in companies, then I think we would see a huge change in people being able to achieve their full potential and to actually do what they want and feel good about doing it.
Right, definitely. And you know what? If 10 years ago, our schools applied your theory, your insight, your idea, I think we'll be better off even in this pandemic, because we don't have to still bring with us in our individual houses the kind of learning style and teaching style that we are having right now. Even remotely is more difficult. So if they applied, or if they apply that concept that you have, probably it will be easier, less painful for everyone, knowing that we can learn in so many forms and shape as much as we can, if we only know how to do that. And so, if these people would like to follow you and your crusade, Ian, where did they get in touch with you? Do you have a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter account that you would like to?
The easiest way to get in touch with me is on my webpage. I understand. I gave the details. There it is at the bottom of the screen here, just about there. iangibbs.me, and you can see a little bit more about what I do. And my email contact information is on there. What I would like to do, Lloyd, I'd just like to underline one key message here, right? For if for some reason you're having to study by yourself because of lockdown, if you've got children, members of your family that are having to study at distance because they can't go, then make an effort to find somebody and talk to them about what you're learning. Find a fellow student or a member of your family who's patient that will listen to you and discuss your ideas. It makes a huge difference.
Okay, I'll do that with my 7-year-old. Don't worry. Thank you so much, Ian, for your time. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I hope you will really keep yourself really healthy because of this pandemic, and together with all your loved ones in there. Please be safe, and may God bless all of your works now and in the future.
Thank you very much, Lloyd. It's been a pleasure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Ian Gibbs is president of Professional Speakers Association Spain. Follow him at iangibbs.me. That's all the time that we have for tonight. I would like to thank everybody for watching our show for tonight. The Big Picture is presented to you by Puzzle Box BPO Inc., also sponsored by Wildlife, Unisol, and Mr. Rice. I'm going to see you again tomorrow for another inspirational episode of The Big Picture. In the meantime, I have to say good night.